We got hip to Jacob Rees-Mogg's jive many, many moons ago, and to see his, what would you describe it as? His sort of mask. It's not even a mask. To see him fall apart publicly when asked about why the situation for the fishermen of the United Kingdom is currently so dire, when the only reason left for Brexit by the end of the 4.5-year saga was that it'd be good for the fish. It'd be good for fishermen. How do you process this? It's very like Donald Trump in the sense that there is absolutely no pleasure whatsoever in seeing what many of us considered to be inevitable unfold. All of the people that were vile and shouted abuse and took to Twitter to launch all manner of bullying campaigns or abusive campaigns or whatever you want to call them. Those of us on the receiving end of that sort of thing, of course, in my case, right up from newspaper owners down, but in the case of ordinary people who don't have the privilege of a platform like this, you just get it usually from social media or possibly from family and friends. And we stood there for years, just quietly saying, hang on a minute, I think this is just true. Almost as if I'm not sure reality cares about referendum results. I don't think you can vote your way out of the 21st century. And as with Trump, there's a bit of pride involved in that nobody wants to be wrong 100%, but it would be insane to want to be right when what you're predicting is either fascism in America or economic damage and worse in your own country. You think that you're right, but you want to be wrong. And you almost, I think, feel a little bit of guilt now, or I do at least, because our warnings didn't work. I know that's probably a bit silly. I'm being all Catholic now with a large C, aren't I? Because what chance did we ever have against Rupert Murdoch and the Barclay brothers and the Daily Mail? And I mean, what chance did anybody? It's a miracle we got as much as 48%. And most of us didn't even wake up to what a ridiculous idea Brexit was until the ship had sailed. That's why we put our shoulders to the wheel on a second referendum, and that failed. That failed horribly, dismally, never got close. Well, it maybe got close. But you still sit there, and even now I find myself hoping here is a problem with food supply or with fish or with musicians that want to tour in Europe or with companies that want to deliver into the single market. Here are myriad problems, and I really want them to be temporary. I want the experts and the people who understand things to undo the damage as quickly as possible that has been done by those who deride experts and who celebrate their failure to understand things. I really do. And, you know, it's so hard with footballification, with everybody so desperate, or with half of the country still so desperate to pretend that things are going to be great, that you just have to be better than them. You have to want things to get better. You winning the argument. I think the Brexit argument is actually over already. For me, it ended with the abolition of your freedom of movement. I felt that was the point at which, you know, everybody realises that for generations now we have diminished our own existence, our own freedom, our own ability to, you know, go and work as a bricklayer in Berlin or to study at the Sorbonne. People will still be able to do that, but it will be harder than it was before. And not as many people will be able to do it. So you have this curious contradiction almost. It's a dissonance of sorts. You see the stuff happening that you thought would happen because people that work in the sectors explained it to you, you know, whether it's an international courier or whether it's an international freight forwarding company or whether it's a greengrocer or whether it's the fish. I feel really sorry for the fishermen, actually. I know a lot of you don't. I've been looking at some of the messages that started coming into the studio while Nick was talking about this. But I don't, I'm sorry, and I don't think I ever will join you in saying it serves them right or they got what they voted for. They didn't. You know, they were lied to. And, You know my hashtag. It's popped up about 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Contempt for the conmen, compassion for the conned. And the fishermen, as it stands, seem to be at the very front of the queue of people who have been conned. British fishermen, the Times reports today, have accused Boris Johnson of dishonesty and betrayal over his Brexit fishing deal.